Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories podcast. I'm Sandifer, your host. Rising Stories features women who are working and living their dreams and passions. They share their stories on how they are working their businesses, how they got to where they are today, and about how they do life. We talk about best business practices, productivity tips, our favorite apps, and so much more. So grab your favorite beverage and listen to these amazing women tell their stories. This week I had the pleasure of interviewing author Jessica Turner. Jessica is a working mom turned author, speaker, and blogger. Her book, Stretched Too Thin, shares practical and realistic ideas on how to manage it all as a working mom. In this interview, Jessica gives us a pep talk on what to do when we feel the pinch of guilt as moms. She is also telling us her Enneagram number, and we talk about one of her favorite holidays. Jessica and I had a great conversation, and she helped me a little bit with my own mom guilt. So stay tuned and listen. We met to record this interview at the Scarritt Bennett Center, an urban retreat center in the heart of midtown Nashville. Before we begin, I would love it if you would join me on Instagram. I'm at Sandifer, and there I share my productivity tips every Sunday night with you. Tips like how to categorize your to-do list, best business practices for keeping your priorities together, and so much more. Don't forget that next week I share my Friday favorites with you on the show. Here on Rising Stories, next Friday, I'll be talking about all the things that I am loving for that week. Here is my conversation with Jessica Turner. Hi, Jessica. Thanks so much for coming to. I'm here at Scarritt Bennett, and they've allowed us to come and interview here. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful campus, and I'll share more about that later. But I am super excited about your book. I've read some of the sections that maybe pertain to me because the things that I need help with. But you started out as a mommy blogger, and you're a full-time working mom, and then you've written 2 books.
Right, so I actually started out working. I didn't start out as a blogger, but then I started my blog in 2006 and have maintained that blog, which kind of evolved into its own brand and its own business while working full-time and growing my family. I've got 3 kids. They're 10, 7, and 3.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then the opportunity to write books came along, and so we threw that into the mix, and so then I was blogging a little less while I was writing books and still keeping my job. So it's a lot, but it's been exciting and a great joy to see all the fruits of the labor.
Yes. How did the opportunity come for you to write books or to get published?
So when you've been blogging as long as I have and have amassed a platform, publishers today really like for authors to have a platform. Mm-hmm. And so I've been approached about writing books in the past. My husband is a full-time author and photographer, and I always thought, no, Matthew is the writer, not me. I'm just going to stay in my lane of blogging. And I was at a conference a few years ago, and the idea for my first book, The Fringe Hours, just came to me, and I really felt like it was an act of obedience, that I had no choice but to write this book, even though I had never really wanted to go into that space. And so I reached out to an agent, and my husband had an agent, but I didn't want to have the same agent as him. I just wanted to keep those things separate. And so found an agent, and then she started shopping the idea, and we had a lot of publishers interested, and so it kind of went to a bidding war, and ultimately the publishers wanted to sign me for 2 books. And that's really a good thing to do for an author, to sign a multi-book deal, because the publisher is going to be more invested in you because they know that they're going to have you for a while. And so even though I really didn't want to write a second book, I thought, okay, I'm sure there's something else I can come up with in the next couple years. And so what I came up with was Stretched Too Thin.
Yeah, was it scary to go, okay, I've got this, but how am I going to produce another one? Was it just a little scary, thinking, signing that contract and going, okay, am I going to be able to fulfill that second book?
No, they paid me well, and so it wasn't scary because I knew that I had to do it. So it was a job. And so,
and you had content from your blog. Lots of content. Or no?
I didn't use any content from my blog from my books. So that wasn't a repository that I felt like I could dip into. But I think because I've seen my husband write close to 24 books, I just knew that this was something that I was going to do. I understood the benefit of it.
Yeah.
And my platform has grown. And honestly, I wanted to have another book. So it ended up being a good thing. So it wasn't scary. It was maybe a bit overwhelming at times of, oh, no, I need to do this, particularly because when I signed that deal, I had 2 children, and right after I submitted my manuscript for the Fringe Hours, I got pregnant. And it was a planned thing, but it was not something on our radar when I signed that. And so it was tougher writing Stretched Too Thin because I had 3 kids.
Yeah.
So I was living the message in a way.
You were. Now, how, a lot of people are saying, how do you do it? Like, when did you have time to write? Like, literally, how did you find space? Because you're a full-time mom, you work full-time, and were you keeping up your blog at the same time?
I was not publishing as much, right? Because I just didn't have the capacity for that. But I was still maintaining the blog and had contracts to fulfill and that sort of thing. But you make time for what's important to you, and this was something that was important. So for me, that looked like a couple times a week going to the office really early. So I would work before I worked, and I would write for 2-3 hours before I would put in my day at work, because I wasn't missed as much by my kids if I just wasn't there from 5:30 to 7:30.
Yeah, because they're sleeping in or whatever. Yeah,
you got to get ready for school and stuff. It's not like there was a whole lot going on during that time. And I knew that I was too fried to do it on the back end of the day. So I would start my day writing a couple times a week. And then also on the weekends, again, I would get fried working on the book if I wrote more than about a half day. So a lot of times I would leave early on a Saturday and be home by lunchtime. So I'd miss that first part. I would work on Sunday mornings. I did a lot of church of the car kind of thing because I had to get this project done. And so for that concentrated time where I was really in the manuscript, it was Saturday and Sunday mornings. I was writing every single weekend. So it was a lot of work. Yeah. Very, very little time off during that season.
What does your day look like?
Well, during the week, I am usually up between 4:30 and 5, and I usually take an hour for myself to do something that's fulfilling to me, as well as typically, for the past little bit, I've been doing some work in the morning, whether that's answering emails or, getting things taken care of on the blog. I do have a virtual assistant, so she kind of helps things move along for me as well, so that's been really helpful. I think recognizing when you need help and being okay with good enough is good enough, and recognizing that you don't have to be the one to do everything is really important. And that's something that I have struggled with, but I'm trying to get better at. So I'll do that. Then, let's get kids ready for school and get ready for the workday. We all leave between 7:30 and 7:45, and then I work 8:30 to 5. And I'm really good about having a hard stop at 5, and so I usually get home between 5:30 and 5:45. My husband works full-time from home, and so he's the one who picks up the kids. He gets dinner going.
Okay,
so then when I get home, dinner's ready or just about ready, so we'll have dinner. And then, it's cleanup and baths and homework and reading and all of that kind of thing. And then we do it again.
Yeah. My phone, I apologize, my phone's going off. And I'm having a little bit of mommy guilt right now. And I know that that's a big thing for a lot of us who are working. Right now, my son, I got the times wrong, and he's having oral surgery right now.
I feel so terrible. You should have canceled on me.
I feel terrible, but I was like, there was so much going on today that I just couldn't cancel. Like, there was not enough time to cancel every little thing that I had on here. Now, my husband is kind of the lead parent with my son, and just because he works from home, and I've started a whole new business since he's been in high school, and so, he's a big boy, so don't feel too bad. He's like, Mom, I'm going to be okay. So I think he should be all right, and I checked with, asked a bunch of questions like, is he going to be like groggy? Are they going to put him under? So they're not putting him under. So even though he's having a little bit of like an oral thing, it's not like a major thing, but I still feel like a tug, So I was wondering, so is your husband, since he works from home and he's picking them up, I guess when they're sick, he's there. And so are you calling, are you guys okay? Is everything, are you feeling torn? Do you feel torn? Like, I mean, I know I do. I was just curious if you ever feel torn.
Yeah, I think we all feel torn. Yes, my husband Matthew usually is the one that ends up with the sick days. That said, he has a full-time job. It's just based at home. And so, if it ends up being multiple days, then we'll split. Or, I do have the flexibility with my office that I can work from home if a situation arises. So sometimes it'll be that we split the day, and I'll work from home in the morning, and then he'll do it in the afternoon so he can take care of some meetings and phone calls and things, that are harder to do. So sometimes we do that. But yeah, I think my husband and I are both really involved parents, and so I'll check in because I care, but not because I don't think that he's handling it, but just because I want to know, but I would do that anyway.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I know you have something in the book, and I haven't gotten to that point about just a little bit of the mom guilt that we all have. What is the message that you are wanting to share with working moms about those times, and maybe you have a hack or something that is like, or maybe just a thought process that is, that you can share about that.
So 70% of American moms with kids under the age of 18 work. So that's the vast majority of us. And so I think first recognizing that your story is not unique to you in those feelings, that this is a universal experience, honestly. So when I set out to write Stretched Too Thin, I surveyed 2,000 working moms of all kinds.
Wow.
Moms who worked full-time outside the home, full-time at home, part-time outside the home, part-time at home, and the experiences and emotions were the same. We dealt with mom guilt and comparison and frustration and exhaustion, and we wondered if we were good moms, and yes, you are. Like that's the big takeaway. I hope that women come away from reading Stretched Too Thin is that they're a great mom, and that you can live in a way where you don't feel exhausted and overwhelmed and stretched too thin in every area of your life all of the time. And I think it's being thoughtful about your choices. It's recognizing that good enough is good enough. There's an analogy I share in the book about balls and how we're all juggling a lot of balls. And I think that often when we think of juggling, we think of those same red rubber balls that the clown uses in the circus. And an analogy that someone shared in the survey is that when she thinks of her juggling, the balls that she's juggling are two different kinds. There's rubber balls and there's glass balls. And if we look at life through that lens of what are the things that if I drop this ball, it will actually be the same. It'll still look the same. It can bounce back. If I pick it up from the floor, it's going to still be just as it was. And then there's the balls that if we drop them because they're glass, they will crack, or eventually they will shatter, right? And those glass balls are ourselves. And I think we as working women often treat ourselves as rubber balls that, oh, it's fine if I push off that doctor's appointment. It's fine if I don't get enough sleep. It's fine if I don't take care of me. I'll bounce back. When in actuality, it's crack, 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 and you are not going to be fine, you know? And we treat our work as a glass ball when really it's okay if you don't get that Instagram posted. It's okay if, you know, that email doesn't get sent at that time, you know, like if you lose your job, like, yes, that's awful and we don't want that to happen, but there's more work out there, you know? That isn't to say that we shouldn't value our work and respect our work and be on time and do all the things of a good employee if you are, you know, employed by someone. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that's not, your work is not going to be what's with you when you die.
That's
your
true.
People are going to
That's
be.
true.
You know?
And those are the glass balls.
Those
like
are the glass balls.
Your kids that, you know, if there's an emotional thing where you need to be there for them, you know, they really want you at a game or whatever, make those things happen. You know, I would love to know, do you have, speaking of yourself and, you know, self-care, what is your self-care routine? Do you have a self-care rhythm that you do?
So I'm a really big reader, and we equate my reading to how happy I am. So if I haven't been reading, then it means that I'm stretched too thin and I need to get back into my books. So that is my big thing, is reading books. I have a separate Instagram called Book Snobbery where I just post the books that I'm reading, and really, really love books and always have. And I think that's true for a lot of women. When I surveyed for my first book, The Fringe Hours, and said, if you had more time, what would you do? The number one thing women said was read. And I think that's so interesting because you can read anywhere. You can download the Audible app and you can read while you're on the go, and you can read when you're standing in line. We wait 45 to 60 minutes a day. Like, pull out your phone and instead of looking at Facebook, look at your Kindle app and read a book, So reading is definitely a big area of self-care for me. I really work hard to get enough rest, to drink enough water. Exercise is something that's a challenge for me, even though I know that it's important. That seems to be the thing that I push off. But I've bought a bike for under my desk so I can pedal my feet while I'm at work. And so I feel like that's something. And I've been trying to work in some walks and get better about that. I have a standing desk, so that helps too. But I'm diligent about, going to the doctor, going to the dentist, and doing those types of things. That self-care, I think, is so much more than manicures and massages. And it sometimes gets like a selfish bad rap, but really it's so important to be the best wife, mom, coworker, and friend that you can be.
Yeah, and I think it looks differently for everybody too.
It does.
Because if you're not a reader like you are, then find what is your comfort, what is going to help you relax and let go, let the world, kind of slough off. Just for time, I'm going to do a quick lightning round of a bunch of questions.
Okay.
All right. So, what is your Enneagram?
I'm an Enneagram 8.
8? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is a great holiday mommy hack? Christmas or Halloween?
Well, I don't have hacks for Halloween because I go all out on Halloween. So you probably don't want to follow my lead on all my handmade costumes. But for the holidays, I think you can streamline by buying the same gift for a whole lot of people. Oh, yeah. So, for instance, this year I bought great cozy blankets from Target that I'm giving to all the teachers, to my team, to I have bought 20 blankets, 90% off on clearance earlier this year, and I'm just storing them away to give. So I think if you can give the same gift and just knock off a whole bunch of people at the same time, that's good.
I think we put too much emphasis on a gift.
Yeah. And sometimes that matters,
I would love
right?
That.
Your mom's 60th birthday, yes, go all out. Yeah. The mailman, gift cards are fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the last 3 Amazon purchases that have helped you as a mom or a working mom that you can think of?
Well, I know all my Amazon purchases have been around Halloween costumes lately. Okay. So I've been buying fabric dye and fake mustaches and wigs and those types of things. Yeah. So I think how those have helped me as a mom is that I haven't had to go to lots of different stores to get them, that I can get them, all from Amazon. I've also bought Reese Witherspoon's new book and Chrissy Teigen's new book. So some books to take care of me that I've been really excited about.
Do you like looking through cookbooks?
I do, and I like making the recipes too. Mm-hmm. So I like both. And Reese's book is called Whiskey in a Teacup, and it's all about being a Southerner. And I wasn't born in the South. I moved here as an adult, but I really like Southern living and really enjoyed reading that book. And it has recipes in it as well.
What's your favorite thing about Halloween? Just dressing up?
Gosh, I love doing a family theme. So we've done a family theme for the past few years, and it's so fun. I love making the costumes. I grew up in a big Halloween house. My mom's birthday was in October, and so Halloween was just always a really fun time for our family. I think it's just a great way to come together and be excited and enjoy time with friends. We go out trick-or-treating with friends every year, so there's nothing I don't love about Halloween.
Yeah. Jessica, thanks so much for coming and sharing this with me. I love the book. I tell you, I'm very visual, and I love all of the colors
that
you have on there.
It took us a long time to get to that cover. I'll be honest with you, we had a different cover, and Target didn't like it. So you can get the book at Target, and the buyer said that it looked too much like fiction. It didn't look like self-help. And so we had to go back.
Interesting.
And I cried because I loved that cover.
The cover. Oh.
And I love this cover, And it's so different from the last one. So it's so fun hearing how much people love it. And the chapters all end with questions. And so I love that as well.
I love.
Because it makes it really practical, and so that you can apply it to your own story. It's not my story as a working mom. This is everyone's story and how to make it your story. So I think it's really practical as well.
I love books that really lend themselves to fleshing out and just really having girlfriend night. Totally. Where you can, hey, let's answer all the questions and then let's share, over drinks or whatever. But I love writing stuff in. So awesome. Thanks so much for writing it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast.
I really enjoyed meeting Jessica, and I can't wait to finish her book. If you want to hear more of Jessica, check out the show notes at CorrineSandifer.com. I will be posting a great YouTube video and where you can purchase her book. A huge thank you to the Scarritt Bennett Center. Scarritt Bennett curates programs that focus on women's empowerment and social justice. It's an amazing and beautiful place, and you can see more photos on my Instagram stories this week. And a quick update that my son came through his procedure just fine. In fact, due to a delay, I was able to leave the interview and see him immediately after his surgery. Thanks so much for listening, and keep rising in your story.